Well, welcome back. So glad that you could join us today for this little video devotional. Today we're actually in Matthew chapter 5. And let me just say this. There's so many things in Matthew chapter 5 that we could cover. We could probably spend 21 days just on Matthew chapter 5. Jesus is going to cover a multitude of topics. He famously delivers the Sermon on the Mount. But this morning I want to actually focus on verses 43 through 48. And let's just read it together. Verse 43. You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. For he makes his sun rise on evil and on the good, and he sends the rain on the just and the unjust. Now here's the question. How do we love people that just simply do not love us? How do we love our enemies? How do we do it well? Well, if you were here this past Sunday, we talked about the Father's love for us. I would encourage you, if you have not listened to the sermon, or maybe you missed it, maybe go back on our website, occonnect.com, and listen to it. But here's what I would say. To truly love our enemies, we have to truly understand the Father's love for us, because at one point in time, all of us were enemies to God. We were all running astray. We were all doing our own thing. We were all doing what we wanted. We were all in direct rebellion against the Father. So one of the greatest ways to truly love our enemies is to see this crazy, scandalous, just grace that the Father pours out upon us, even when we were enemies, even when we were running astray. Let's keep reading in 46. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? It's easy to love people that love you, right? Do not even the tax collectors do the same? And if you greet only your brothers, what more are you doing than others? Do not even the Gentiles do the same? You therefore must be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. That's a peculiar verse, isn't it? I remember being young in the faith, and that used to just throw me off all the time. Be perfect as my Father is perfect. How do I do that? Well, let's back up to when Jesus says, love your enemies. One, loving people that love us is easy. Loving people that do not like us, that do not love us, that say bad things about us, that go out of their way to make our life miserable is difficult. But here's the thing. Jesus is always after something, and it's called your heart. He's always after the motivations of your heart. And one of the greatest ways that we can love our enemies is to remember that Father loved us. But why does he say, therefore you must be perfect as I am perfect? He says it because of this. For the rest of your life, God is going to bring people that maybe don't love you so well, but it's going to constantly bring out things in your heart so that you can become more and more like Jesus, so that you can learn to truly love your enemies, so that you can learn, because the Father loved you, that you can love people that don't necessarily always love us. So here's what I want to challenge you with this morning, or today, or whatever time you're watching this video. Is there may be people in your life that are difficult. There may be people in your life that are difficult to love or difficult to handle. But oftentimes God brings those people in our life because he wants to reveal things about us. He wants to reveal things in our heart that maybe don't line up with his will, that don't necessarily make us more like him. So today, remember, it is possible for you to love your enemies because you were once an enemy of God, and he loves you with a crazy, scandalous grace that we don't deserve.